Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV. Hope you guys are well, wherever it is that you may be across the world. We are back to have an overall Chelsea discussion show. Not too sure how many of the panel will be here today, but that's all good. That's all good. But we've got lots to talk on. We'll talk about the owners. We're going to talk about the FFP news in and around Chelsea. News around the manager as well as Antonio Conte has been linked with the football club. We're also going to be talking about Conor Gallagher, the FA Cup, and then going through the fixtures prior to this period, but also the fixtures coming ahead as well of what's left for Chelsea and where we are and stuff. So overall, it's going to be a good one. I need everyone to tap the like, share it out if you can as well. Get your comments in, build it up, share it, guys, if you can as well. We're trying to work our way on building up this channel again as well, guys. Trying to see if we can build up this channel again as well. Forgot my mic. You see, I ain't been on in ages, isn't it? So yeah, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new, and let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV. I hope you guys are all well, wherever you may be around the world. I don't know why it does that. Big up to every single one of you that are here at the moment as well. Get your comments in. Come and say hello in the chat, guys. It's very hot and humid today. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel it feels hot, man. It feels hot in here. We aren't, and I have said this before, we aren't doing any more live streams on Chelsea Fan TV, which is a shame. We enjoyed doing streams over there, to be honest. It was a good little period of doing news and going live and mixing with the Chelsea fan team as well. It was nice. But we've gone back to the old school way. And with the old school way, I want to try and get this channel back up to what it used to be, which is over 200 people in the lives. And yeah, you know, I've been out for a bit as well, but we're slowly starting to pump some more shows out for you guys so that we can all mix up and get into this as well, guys. But big up to every single one of you that are here at the moment. We're going to start talking about some news in and around the football club, and we're going to talk about, where is it? Why is it not in order? That's the question. I want to know. Usually it's always in order. What's this one for? It's gone backwards. Matt Law? This news in and around today's talk of the topic, as usual, Chelsea Football Club being brought into the negativity stage of the news, as they tend to usually are. Let's be serious. We always seem to be the ones that are on the front pages of negativity. But the Chelsea owners depicted as clowns at Stamford Bridge sticker campaign. So, yeah, there's stickers being planted around of our owners. Clown Lake, Free Ring Circus is what we're being planted here. I know that these pictures specifically are of one YouTuber that tends to use these quite a lot. And it looks like it could be Mr. Johnny Minerals. Who knows? Was it Johnny Minerals that's planted all these stickers in and around the football club? I don't know. But, you know, we know how unhappy he is with the owners up to this point. And I can get that. I fully understand why he feels frustrated in the situation. At the end of the day, I think the news that's been coming out of recent about the FFP rules, where we stand, who we are, you know, the longevity side of it as well. Like, where are we going? Are we going to be getting hit with fines? Are we going to suffer for the Roman errors in terms of like the fine, you know, the dealings and the records over there? Are we going to suffer from that? I don't think so. I think it's all broken down in a way that when you look at it from when you take a step back and you look at it from in. I mean, the FFP thing we're going to talk about in a second because we've got some stuff to go through there. We've got a little article to go through on the FFP side of things. But in terms of the news in and around agents and Chelsea and, you know, things being done behind the scenes, maybe not in a legal manner. Again, I don't think it's something that only Chelsea Football Club do. And I think it was someone that came out of a comment, Rob, he came out of a comment on Twitter saying that, if I can find that comment, that would be a good one to actually look at. Let me see if I can find it. Rob, let's get Rob up. Is it Rob? Whatever his name. I can't actually remember his name. Makes it even harder. RJB something. He came out of a comment. I think I actually tagged it as well. Did I actually share it? Let me have a quick look. Guys, keep tapping the screens if you can as well. I massively appreciate it. I'm sure I actually highlighted it. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did not. RJP Journal. No, I can't find him. But anyway, cut a long story short, it was just basically talking about how anything like this in terms of legal discussions and around agents and stuff isn't one to be hyped. It's not. It doesn't have any bearing in regards to the FFP. It's two separate situations. This, what is being highlighted, shouldn't actually be in the news. Football clubs deal with this on a general day-to-day basis. But in regards to the FFP element, we're going to go and get into it right now. Keep tapping the screen, share it out, guys, if you can. We are going to jump into some bits and bobs for you guys, starting from Ben Jacobs' comments in and around the owners. And it goes on about an explainer on the Chelsea finances, why 90.1 million annual loss shouldn't be taken out of context. The club insists they are well within profit and sustainability rules, potential outgoings and other incomes, and then the inflated market challenges as well, which we will be getting into. And I have managed to get this up as well. So we will be going through this article next to then break it down, detail it, go through as well, and see what you've got to say. Guys, if you've got anything as well, come and say hello in the chat as well. I'd appreciate it. I would appreciate it if you could do that. Chelsea's current financial position explained amid the FFP rules. And then we go down here. Chelsea reported a pre-tax loss of 90.1 million for 2022 to 2023, which was a significant decrease, but questions to remain about compliance with financial regulations. Despite the losses, Chelsea's annual turnover reached a record high of 512.5 million due to lifting off the sanctions on the club, because Roman cleared a lot of the debt that was owed to the club, which was then put aside, which is an important part to discuss as well. Saudi Arabia could once again be a solution rather than a threat for Chelsea when it comes to players. Again, where do we make the most value in players? And then you've got to look at market inflation and how much they get sold out in Saudi. Of course, Chelsea are going to look to sell them to the highest bidder. And I think we're going to do a lot of that this season anyway, and we'll get into that a bit more in a second. So it goes on to say the reports. Let's zoom in on this. The reports go on to say Chelsea are reported a pre-tax loss of 90.1 million for the 12 months period ending June 30th, 2023. That's down from 121.4 million in the previous financial year. So we've managed to reduce the pre-tax loss. Both figures raise questions as to whether Chelsea can remain compliant with the profits and the sustainabilities. It's not all bad news though. Because Chelsea's annual turnover also rose to a record of 512 million. Catalyst by sanctions being lifted on the club due to what I just said, the owner Roman Abramovich. Chelsea's parent company, Blueco, 2022 have declared a pre-tax loss for the year ending of 678.2 million. This number was attributed in a large part to the investment in Chelsea men's and women's playing squad. But it also factors in the acquisition of League Air club Strasbourg for 60-odd million. So they've got this subsidiary. They've used this subsidiary to pretty much funnel a lot of the business that they're doing, which is what Roman Abramovich was doing at this football club as well. 678.2 million is a big loss to that subsidiary company. But it's a mixture of Strasbourg. It's a mixture of the Chelsea women. It's a mixture of the main team as well, the Chelsea men's team. And then it goes on to this section and it says, on the other hand, the pre-tax Chelsea losses have decreased. Flashback to 21-22 before Clearlake Bowley took charge. And Chelsea lost 156 million, Lukaku. It should be noted, however, that it was a year, a bit of anomaly due to sanctions on the club exactly. And we went through quite a heavy phase there. And that is a big loss. Don't get me wrong, but this was coming to the end of the closure of Roman Abramovich and the dealings over there as well. So, yes, Steve, how you doing? Are you good, bro? Thank you for coming in. Chelsea remain compliant despite FFP fears. It goes on to say all 3 years have been submitted to the Premier League, and Chelsea remain compliant with domestic financial regulations to date. Hence, why they avoid any charges, unlike Forest and Everton. But with Chelsea's brace for the potential of no European football in 24-25 and the 2025 Club World Cup income not declarable under 25-26, player sales are going to prove important if Chelsea wants to have a productive summer. Again, these things here, I'm not shocked to what we have to do to sort out the longevity mess that we've got at the moment. And it's not a mess because it's controlled at the moment. We're managing to lay financially lay statements that are able to keep us clear for now. But in the long term, we're going to have to see some sort of European football. We're going to need income of money to come in to be able to cover that. But we're also going to see a massive flux, I feel, in selling of players and getting the most out of the players' inflation in the market to be able to sort out the amount of we've spent in the last year or two, which is fair enough. Over time, the Chelsea model may become less reliant on outgoings, especially when Stamford Bridge is either deployed or new stadiums built. But the financial benefits or either move won't be seen until 2030. And I get that. I actually understand that when you look at the amount of money spent already, nearly £1 billion on individuals, then having to make sure that the books are even, you're falling in compliant with the FFP rules and things like that. We're going to need a bit of time to do that. But at the same time, we're going to need the club to achieve. We're going to need to start rolling in some revenue. For the year ending 2023, Chelsea generated profits. Here we go, revenue profits on a disposal of a players' registrations and fixed assets of 142.2 million. And they had not done so, the latest financial report would be more concerning. And had they not done so, yeah, exactly. So this is the thing. We sold 142.2 million pounds worth of assets to pretty much deal with the latest financial report, which would have been concerning if we didn't get sell the players that we had, Havertz, Mount, etc., etc., etc. They all brought some sort of value into, the profit to the club. Chelsea have the potential to spend again this summer, is what another thing's been said as well. Chelsea owners have also lowered the wage bill, with incomings now averaging around 70k per week. And big owners like Koulibaly, Kane, Romelu Lukaku, at least for now, are off the books. When you look at the Chelsea's highest earners on the books at the moment, the 5 highest earners are Raheem Sterling, Romelu Lukaku, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, and Wesley Fofana. Obviously, that's corrected to the date of now, which is 14th of March, 2024. Raheem Sterling, 325 Lukaku. So there's a good chance that maybe these two could be gone, which means you save yourself a huge amount of wages a week. May I also say a week. Reece James is going to stay. Ben Chilwell is probably going to stay. And Wesley Fofana is another one which we've been told to keep an eye out on at the moment. There's another player that we've been told to keep an eye out on at the moment. 2 seconds. My phone's ringing, guys. Just quickly do that. Sorry. He hasn't played enough football. He's played half of 2 seasons. He's been injured for nearly over a season and a half. And there's talks and discussions in around what to do with this player based on the wages he brings in and how much he's cost us. Now, will Chelsea lose money if they were to sell the player? Of course they will, because spending nearly 60 to 70 million on a player that's only foreseen half of the season is not easy. Could we see players like Fofana forced out the door? If they can get them fit and available, maybe someone will buy them. But then it goes back to market value. And Chelsea are going to want like 40 to 50 million for him, even with the injuries that he has had. And the question mark there will be, can Chelsea shift players? Yeah, equally, the other issue we have is someone like Raheem Sterling. Now, Raheem Sterling is someone that's still quite young, 28 years of age, because still playing the Premier League, in my opinion. Is he going to take an offer from Saudi Arabia for his wages and for the value that we want for him? Probably not. Could he play outside of England for once and go to Spain or Italy or something like that? I could see that. Would they be willing to pay such high wages? I don't think so. And what sort of fee would we get for him? Well, how much did we buy him for? Was it 50 million? Are we going to get 50 million for Raheem Sterling? Would we get 50 million for 55 million for Raheem Sterling. I don't know. One thing I know for sure is he's got to come off the books. He could potentially be coming off the books if he doesn't end up staying. And I've been told, and from what I've heard, keep an eye out for Wesley Fofana as well. The only two on the highest earners of the books that will stay are these two. But then if you can lose one of these two, or maybe two out of the three, and keep three, it's going to help. It's all going to help, you know. Chelsea insists they are within the Premier League's allowed losses of 105 million over a 3-year monitoring period, and there isn't even some wiggle room to spend this summer. This is despite the pre-tax numbers clubs and can make sufficient expenditure deductions, including for their women's team and academy, and they are allowed to COVID adjustments for 2021. As of now, Chelsea don't feel the risk of profit and sustainability sanctions, but on the football side, the model requires another big spend since they are entering into the final summer of a 4-year plan. Having not added any players in January, Chelsea won't want financial concerns to stop them moving freely in the market. This is why they may look to bring in £100+ million in player sales to not only balance the books, but to give them more leeway to move in the market. 100%. And this is why I think the likes of Romelu Lukaku, a potential Conor Gallagher, Raheem Sterling, maybe even a Wesley Fofana, a Ziyech who's still on the books, Baba Rahman, all these guys that are just don't need to be on the books right now. Even maybe some of and I don't see us selling younger players, but like Broha, could we, would we be able to get 20, 30 million for him? It's not selling players for 100 million to get the returns. It's about selling players to be able to, like they did last year, build up 142 million pounds to then not only balance the books out, but able to financially fit in the sustainabilities and then be able to buy players within the market and be effective. At the end of the day, we still need to buy. I think we need a left back. I think we do need another centre back. I think we do need a striker. That's 3 positions again. And we wouldn't have thought we would be saying that with the amount of young players we've got. But big up declared him. What would they in the world will they leave? No one's paying them nowhere near the wages. So that's the other point. That's the other, the other denying issue that we may have. And I said that earlier on. Who's going to pay the wages for these players? That might be a big question mark. That may be hard for us to do. But Saudi Arabia is one of the countries that will pay top money for players. And that's one area, if the player agrees to, that they may go to. And I see Lukaku may be going there just to take a wage. There was talks about Lukaku going there anyway. So, I think we're just going to have to be very good at selling in the summer. That is what I'm trying to say. I think we're just going to have to be very good at selling players. I don't think we're in trouble at the moment. I think we are a little bit in trouble at the moment, but I think we're relying on the fact that we know that we've got players to sell and that we will try and do kind of what we did last year and try and force out £100 million worth of players out the door. It's clear revenue will be impacted in the next financial year by the lack of European football this season, and next year's books start to reflect over 400 million on high-profile signings, including Caicedo, 150 million. Not all of that appears in one chunk or is attributed to the 1 year due to amortization, spreading the transfer fee over the contract length. And this is what people keep forgetting. Because even though it's a big figure that we have spent in total for Enzo, for Caicedo, for whoever else we brought through the door, Mudryk, when it comes to showing a financial statement for the football club, they're not showing the 115 million in that full 1 year or 2 years, because it's been amortization. I hate saying the word. Because it's been spread over an 8-year plan or a 7-year plan. What we've done that's very clever and why they've changed the book is we're able to spread the cost over the years. The issue you have is you still have them over the years, plus other players in the same position. It adds up, but you want to add new sales into that period as well, which is where we get ourselves into a bit of a twist with the 105 million spend that we need to do over the 3-year period, which is the FFP rule. So Chelsea can still do what they need to do over this next summer. They just need to sell players. Oh, look, next thing. Chelsea need to sell to boost the summer transfer funds. Who just said that? Common sense. The summer 23 sale of Mount to Man United for an initial 50 million is the kind of outgoing that Chelsea know helps their books helps books look healthier. And that's why Conor Gallagher could yet be sold in the summer for similar number despite the excellent form. The worry, however, is the kind of transfer may not be easy to facilitate before the June the 30th. And this is the next part. So every sale that Chelsea do in going into the summer has to be logged for the year end at June the 30th, which means we have to do more of our business in up to the June 30th period than we do after. Now, when you look in recent years, that's a very hard thing to do. A very, very hard thing to do. Not only are players on their breaks and etc. and whatever, you know, it's very demanding for a club like us to go into the market and try and get opposing clubs to pay the fees that we need in that short period of time. We finished the season in what, May? That gives us 1 month from May to the end of June to sell these players to balance this financial year. And this is the issue we got. So unless they're doing business in the backgrounds at the moment, trying to prepare themselves for selling of players before that period and getting it agreed so that once we get into the position, they can go, right, we've agreed that, you go. I don't see how we get rid of the players we need to help us on this financial year. It's going to be an issue. You know, the clubs worry when it comes for the 30th, especially in the summer, where many top European players may want to wait until after Euro 24 before determining it. And that's the other thing. It's not even about just organising it with clubs and whatever. It's actually the player wanting to go, getting them to agree. European football around the corner as well. It's not going to be easy. It's just not going to be easy for us, you know. Dennington, how are you, man? Good to see you. Buy one, get one free. Do you know what I mean? Yes, Nyack, how are you, brother? Good to see you. There's a lot of profit there, Nyack. You know, you come out with some good comments. Hall, 28 million. Matson, Chalobah, Broha, Lukaku. Yeah, maybe if we're lucky, that can be achieved before Euros. Broha and Chalobah recoup less than what we want. There's the media's 100 million. Look, and I don't doubt that we can't get rid of players. We have enough players to be able to sell. Makes you think, why have we decided to spend so much on a certain player like Caicedo? Because the reason they've done that, Dark Knight, is because they've managed to find a loophole to be able to do it. I don't think we would have done it if we had to. I don't think we would have signed Enzo or Caicedo if we would have had to spread it over, say, a 3-year period. I don't think we could have done it. Then we would have been in serious trouble. And I think that's where the loophole is at the moment. But it doesn't mean that we'll get away with it moving forward. Do you get what I mean? This is the thing, and this is where we need to sort ourselves out and get ourselves in a position. But I agree with Nyack. We have players to sell, and they are relying on players to sell. People are moaning and saying Chelsea ain't going to be able to do it. They're in so much debt. But we're not, because when you looked at our turnover profits just now, we're actually floating in a comfortable position. And our losses are actually on a subsidiary company, which has now got over £600 million worth of actual loss profit on it, net loss profit on it as well. So outside of Lukaku and Kepa, these players are on a light wages where they can be easily sold. True. That is true. I hear that. And good morning to you, brother. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. So we move on with this here. So it goes to say Chelsea are also budgeting to receive 28 million for Lewis Hall. There we go. What Nyack just said. Who is close to triggering an obligation to buy with them. So that's 30 million in our pockets already on Lewis Hall, by the way. And don't get me wrong, Chelsea fans are going to cry about it. Why are we getting rid of Lewis Hall, man? We ain't got a left back. It's going to happen. But at this moment in time, business is business. We wanted Caicedo, Enzo, whoever we brought in as well. We're going to have to, in a way, kind of subsidise this, you know? Chelsea don't doubt this will happen, even though it's not quite official yet. So that's one. Matson is on loan, but he's valued at 35 million. Lukaku and Fulham loanee Broa are expected to command similar fees. So you come on, let's work it out. 35 million. Let's say averaging 30 million for Hall, Matson 60, Lukaku 90, and Broa. That's 120 million, and that's without selling Chalobah, who you probably get 20 to 30 million on, probably. Let's just be serious. So that's another. So you've got about 150 million pounds worth of player sales there already. What did we highlight earlier on in the show? That Chelsea done well last season. They sold 142 million pounds worth of players, which helped the financial breach issue that we may have had if we didn't sell. And the good thing we do have is we have players to sell. Chelsea's low knee numbers, a number of individuals in the squad are very high. And we need to loop out to get out of this because we need. But then this is what people don't realize. People think we just need to sell because we need to just balance the books. They're not just selling just to balance the books. It's not the only thing because, yeah, wages is important. You get rid of a Raheem Sterling potentially on 325k a week or a Wesley Fofana who's on 200k a week. Yeah. You get rid of these plus what we've just said there. You're not only sustaining yourself for that year's that year specifically, which is what it's worked on. This is what people don't realize. It's worked out on a year basis, year end to year end. It's like any other business. Not only are we balancing ourselves for that period from 23 to 24, but we've also able to free ourselves financially to be able to go and continue buying players because we can balance it. And this is what they're trying to do right now. People just think Chelsea are fucked, Chelsea are this, Chelsea ain't going to be able to sell, Chelsea are going to get deducted points, blah, 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 blah. They might get deducted points for doing dodgy business. That's a separate issue. But when it comes to sustainability, following the rules of the FFP and not breaching, providing that we can continue selling players and these board that we've got at the moment are able to get value out of these, along with maybe selling one or two key players at the moment like Gallagher or Sterling or Fofana. We'll get through that this year again, and then it'll be the same for the next year, and then the next year. And it will just be the same cycle with Chelsea until we can't sell or we buy a bit too much without selling. And then we find ourselves in a bit of a slap on the wrist situation for one year because we don't balance the books. But when you look at our overall turnovers and our net profits and things like that at the moment, I don't really see us in a lot of trouble. A lot of people are jumping the guns because it's us again. So Chelsea have options to bring in around 100 million, but they may have to move fast or resign themselves to a more modest summer, which goes against the yeah, it will do because they've only got to the 30th to make sure it's done. Chelsea want Osimhen. He's going to cost 100 million. We all know this. He wants a 250k a week wage. Chelsea will have to find a way to find this. Otherwise, PSG, who have free 200 million in gross with Kylian Mbappe leaving, that's just on one player, may have the edge. Chelsea would ideally like to get a centre-back and a full-back, I agree. And if Gallagher was to be sold, they may even feel that they're one midfielder short. Yeah, if Lavia can get fit, maybe we wouldn't have to worry. It's tough to see them strengthening in all areas, and there's several players are sold. It's also why links with Atletico Nico Williams are unlikely to happen. Although it's true Chelsea have scouted the talented 21-year-old, blah, 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 blah. They expect the club to reinforce more pressing areas. Yeah, exactly. So they're not, it's just not top of the list with Nico Williams. Raheem Sterling remains committed to the club. Mudryk isn't expected to leave. It's likely Chelsea are less concerned about rule breaching and more worried they may simply have to depart from some, which can happen. But we're going to have to part some targets if we don't sell. And then this is what's contradicting about it. Why can't we not sell? And the inflated market could mean rethinking their strategy. That's why manager Pochettino has said plans to talk to the sporting directors in the coming weeks to better understand the situation. Chelsea would like to free up funds to bring in an elite striker and a couple of other names, but to do this and stay within the rules, they may need some big fees. And this is why I'm saying to you, you sell what me and Nike have just gone through just now, and then you end up selling a Gallagher in with that, and maybe someone like a Fofana, then we're able to get a striker, I think. The only issue you have the striker is spreading him over the years. I think it's only a 5-year period now we can do it. We definitely sort of fullback out. I think we're going to have to, in my opinion, because of the injury statuses. And the centre-back's another key area. So I can see it being done. It's just getting deals rather than just spending lots of money. I think we're going to be a lot more planned in how we do things. It's not just going to be 100 million, 120 million, 150 million. It's going to be, this is what we got. This is what we're going to spend. This is how we need to do it. Can we do it? That's the question mark. Can we do it? And can we get rid of players to allow us to maybe have a bit more free wages or a bit more, free income? Where Sesko's being spoken about for 42 million. I'm not a big fan of him. It's hard for Chelsea to stay under the 200 million if they sign a striker and also strengthen defence. Yeah, so will Chelsea have a bracket of 200 million to spend in the summer? Maybe. Does that mean someone like Victor Osimhen is a no-go? Maybe. Is there any other way that we can sign other strikers in the world of football for a lot less? Yes. Ivan Toney, Victor Gyökeres, etc. We just got to be a lot more wiser the way we move in the summer and just flush out these players. That is literally it. That is literally all it is. Saudi Arabia could help Chelsea get on paper. These feasible given for Chelsea players are admired, but several other Premier League clubs are arguably the most likely to match Chelsea's asking price are in the same boat, financially speaking. Yet perhaps also why many clubs are releasing Saudi as not so much as a threat as a solution. Away from Chelsea, it's worth understanding that Blue Co's loss as well in a bit more than detail is normal for the group's pre-tax loss of 632 million, although significantly impacted by Chelsea, to also be down to other holding company costs and purchase price accounting that drives an amortization. Under UK accounting practicing, when a business acquires another business, like Blue Co did with Chelsea in 2022, it is necessary to revalue the new asset at the time of the purchase based on market, not historical book value. And only in the accounts of the purchaser, this is called purchase price allocation, PPA. If the market value is greater than the book value, then the amortization charges will increase. But in simple terms, you would expect Blue Co to be less profitable than any one of its clubs. The numbers aren't easy to digest, but the overriding takeaway is Chelsea's business model is currently heavily reliant on player sales. We know that. Yet Chelsea's football project is still heavily reliant on player acquisitions. Yes. So the key here is, can Chelsea get who they need this summer without falling foul of the financial rules, and who might have to be sold in the summer to do so? I get that. It's a complicated situation, although the club's sources stress they are calm, but it is also it all depends. And don't anticipate any charges or punishments. See again, it's a complicated situation. Although the club sources stress they are calm about it all and don't anticipate any charges or punishment. It seems that big spending and big sale appears to go in hand at Chelsea right now. This means there are almost two deadlines this summer, and outgoings of June 30 and then the traditional deadline day for incomings. And we may know the extent of Chelsea's financial muscle this summer after June the 30th. Basically, can Chelsea Football Club sell enough players in June the 30th to be able to free themselves up for the transfer market and be able to obtain players but not breach any financial fair play rules? That's the real big question here. Will we sell enough players before that period? I think it's going to be very hard to do, which I understand it literally gives us a month to actually get it done. However, does it mean that we're not doing things in the backgrounds at the moment? No, it doesn't. Nico Williams stays another year, and then we get him. Yeah, there's no rush to get Nico Williams for me. You know what I mean? Like striker, left back, centre back, and maybe a goalkeeper. Yeah, I mean, I like Petrovic, to be honest with you. Maybe a second goalie. Chelsea boy, how are you, man? Good to see you. Are we going to have a talent fire sale every June? What makes you think behaviours are going to change? It's this happy clapping for that has us where we are. What do you mean, Bobby? I know what you're saying, actually. Are we going to have a talent fire sale every June? What makes you think behaviours are going to change? For them to sustain the project that they want to sustain, Bobby, we are going to have to sell players. That was always going to be I don't think they've gone into this position where we are now. We're not thinking about how what they've got to do for the future. To sell in players is always going to be on the boards. The reason that we balanced the last year end, which I've just gone through just now in these recordings, is because we sold 124 million pounds of players. That's why Chelsea fell into the sustainability elements of the FFP rules and didn't get breached. The same thing's going to happen again this year. The only difference we have now is how many can we sell up to June the 30th to cover this year end that we've just been in. Can we sell to balance? That's what we're looking. And then after that period, it will be then how much can we then spend based on that period or the end of that period? Because this end of this period is going to be important. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to sell every player by June the 30th. In fact, we might not even sell any. I think we will probably push to try and get rid of some. And I think if they're clever enough, the board, which we'll find out, I'd be working on trying to get things in the readies now with players, with clubs that might be interested, with fees, like giving an idea of where they need to be in terms of, I would be working in hand. Yes, it's a bit of a mess, a little bit, because we're having to just sell players quickly now to then bring up the books and try and financially make ourselves in a better position. But in the long run, maybe this was just the plan that they come out with, and it's a long-term project, that's for sure. It's not something that we can get hit with short term. And these FFP breaching rules and things that we're going through right now, I don't think happens now. This is not a now moment. When we see all these articles about Chelsea, Man City, this, that, and the other, Man City's breaching rules have gone back for years. This isn't something that's just happened now. This is going back in time. This is their overall project to this point now. This is why they've got 135 odd breaches. Why we're being dragged in the loop is just because we've spent so much money in a short space of time. But the company's turnover against the tax losses, the net tax losses, which we just looked at, against the subsidiary company that they have, where they've been using that subsidiary company to push all the amortization deals that we've got with Caicedo and Enzo in to where we are now, goes to the fact, or falls into the fact, that they are still trying to find a way of selling players the way they did last season, which is try and make as much money as you can in inflation on them. And that's it. I don't really think there's any much more to it. If they don't do it and they fall below, then they're in breach. Yeah, of course. Then we can have that discussion. But is it a different type of project? Is it something that we're not used to seeing or understanding? Of course it is. Should fans be worried about where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do? Yeah, potentially. But is it for them now? Are Chelsea getting slap on the wrist now for what they did a year ago? No. No, they're not. I don't think so. People don't realize how much shit we're in with these owners. We probably are. We probably are in a certain amount of element, but it's just how they're working their way around it. And like they did last year when people said we were in the shit for spending X amount of money, we still managed to sell 124 million pounds of players, which brought the book into the FFP breaching rules, which means we didn't actually go over. We stayed within the sustainability elements. So we got around it. But Chelsea won't get affected now. It's not a now thing that we get affected in. It's the later. It's the latter. It's what we do moving forward. And then the contracts that we've amortized with Caicedo and Enzo and Mudryk and all these people, it's then and getting European football. We need revenue. We need money to come in. We need to sell players. If we don't bring in revenue, if we're not bringing in European football, we're going to suffer. We're going to suffer because we can't continuously keep selling players every June to balance the books. Or we will try to. I'm sure we will try to. But it can't be the only way that we bring in revenue. I know tickets do. I know we make money from people going to the games and things like that as well. That's a different type of revenue. But these are things that we've got to wait and see. Like if we loan with an obligation to buy, like Maatsen does, that count as a done deal by June? It will do because providing that we agree, both clubs agree it at the end of the term, i.e. end of the season, Maatsen could have been sold for 35 million. He will fall under the June 30th period. June 30th, end of the year, to the end of the beginning of June last year. That tax period. And that's why it's a June the 30th gap. What is the project? We've never heard these owners saying they want to win trophies. And that's another part of the problem, Mob. We're all assuming here. I'm even assuming to a degree of what I think they're going to do and what we're doing. I do think there should be a lot more clarity in around where, how we're trying to do things. A business is a business. There's always a business plan in place. Doesn't mean it's always going to be successful or unsuccessful. But they've gone with it. And this is the route they've gone with. The question is, why are we in the position we have to sell talent again? But it's not all talent, though, is it? Because Lukaku and Ziyech can go. The players that have gone out on loan, like Bro and that, are going to go. You know, Matson might leave because we may have to make money. And yeah, Conor Gallagher's maybe one that you could probably say, well, if we sell him, it's definitely purely going to be because of our market position. It's not going to be anything else. And we're going to talk about Gallagher. We've gone on too long about this, actually. I don't know why I've got stuck on the owners for 40 minutes. I shouldn't have been on this for so long. But yeah, we will do definitely, guys. Look, I promise you, we will do a proper conference once we can really get a clear. See, what I'm doing here right now is I'm just sharing you an article and I'm breaking down what I think we're trying to do, the way we're trying to go with things. Whether it's going to work and be sustainable is another story. We have to wait and see in the long term. Does that happen? But we'll see. We'll do more shows on this. We'll do more shows. The more we learn about what's going on, the more we'll talk about it. You know what I mean? Chelsea need European football, like Europa League football. We need European football, end of. We're actually 3 points away from 8th, which we're going to talk about in a second as well. Chelsea content creators had a big role to play in propping up unnecessary rebuild. But was always going to rebuild, Bobby. I don't get where you're going with. This was always going to happen. We were in a position of transition. A transition is a rebuild. The difference is how you rebuild. This is how we've decided to rebuild, but there's obviously other ways we could have gone. We could have just brought in one owner and one sporting director, like we have with Roman, with Marino. It didn't happen. A consortium come in and took over the club. Like the rebuild, it wasn't propping unnecessary rebuild. We were in a position of rebuild. We had to. It was a mess. The amount of coaches that we kept coming through the door and the players that we had going back to, God knows, Sarri days, everything was going to change. The model was going to change. It was always going to happen. These are things that were going to happen for me. You know? Connor is leaving after the Euros. Trust he's going to leave because his market value won't be any higher for him. 50 million, 60 million, I think. John, how are you, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. He is Clown Lake out. He is not happy with how things are going, and I understand it. You were one of the few who said this fiasco's. Yeah, but again, you know, guys, you know, this is the problem with it. Like, people can have an opinion on whether they think something's going to go well or not. No one, I don't think anyone on my show has ever said this is going to be the greatest thing that's happened to this football club. In fact, my words when we bought in Bowley and Eggbally and all that was it wasn't about what they do in the short term. And I said this all the time. The short term is important. And they started buying and buying and buying. And guess what I said? When we start buying, all going to be happy and smiley. Yay, we're buying players. Yes, this, that, and the other. That wasn't the question. The question for me was the long term, where we're going right now. This is our second season. How we look, do you get what I mean? That's always been my mindset with these owners. Okay, cool. You can buy and do what you're going to do. I want to see your project. I want to see where we are 3-4 years down the line under you guys. You know? I have inside information from my contacts on Chelsea board of directors. What my contacts on Chelsea board is that we're fine with our financial situation. Fact is what Rich Moneymaker says. Well, again, they've provided information to the FFP to show them that we're not in breach. And we are compliant, supposedly, at the moment. So, Carl Lake ain't going nowhere, brother. I've got to focus on better directors and managers. I think we do need a sporting director. I think we do need to shuffle the recruitment board. I don't think we need to have a Stewart and a blimmin' Winstanley and all these, you know, people. You know, I think there is teething issues within, or big issues within the board itself, the recruitment of how we've structurally set up at the moment. And the owners have made these decisions. It's on them. But I think they do need to look at that. I think they might have to throw, you know, Vivell leaving so early was just a big sign to me. You know? It needed someone, it just needs a sporting director. It doesn't need three sporting people that are supposedly sporting directors along with the owners, which is what we're doing at the moment. You know, that's where they're getting it wrong for me. They need to look at within what they're doing. Yeah, and it falls on the coach as well, and we're going to talk about it. Like, it's not all just the board; it is the coaching as well. It's the people that are in control of this team and how we set up, and it's everything. It's just everything for me. It's just so much. It's so much for me. If you want changes, contact the guy Daniel Finkelstein. I know, yeah, I know, who is one of the Chelsea directors. He isn't not a part of it. He could contact Ed Belly. I wished. Imagine getting Ed Belly on here. But that's where we are with it. And I don't want to fall into it too much because I wasn't meant to be on it for that long. But time will tell. All I'm saying is time's going to tell, guys. Time will definitely tell in and around where Chelsea are as a club, whether we're complying, whether the project, the idea of how we move forward, sign, sell, you know, all of these things, reduce wages, like sell players on higher wages to free up areas. Like, these are all important things we can't ignore. So I want to talk about Conte because there's talks about it in the, which is quite weird from Fabrizio Romano. Great show, GNA. Any suggestions I can pass on to my contacts inside the club? Rich moneymakers. I don't know whether he's trolling or if he's being serious, but tell him to sort out the sporting director, sort out the recruitment board. Win Stanley, Lawrence Stewart, get them sorted out. We don't need two of them. We don't need what we have currently in there right now. Pass that on. And find a sporting director, someone that can just be firmly in control. Owners, sporting director, and then people below. There you go, mate. That's what we think we need right now. If Pochettino gets sacked at the end of the season, who would you like as a replacement? And I don't trust these sporting directors to find. This is the problem, Daniel, and it's a very good question. I don't know. I think God's honest truth. I don't know. And we're going to talk about managers now because there was talks about Fabrizio Romano on Antonio Conte, and it was very weird comments. Fabrizio Romano said, it's also been a story about the possibility of Antonio Conte returning to Chelsea as a manager, while he's also been linked as candidate for another former club, Juventus. As things stand, I am not aware of any concrete contract. Conte is waiting for the right proposal, but there is zero to report with these two clubs right now. So there's a possibility of Antonio returning to Chelsea. So why the hell would he say that? Antonio Conte to Chelsea again. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Well, if you are, bro, then you know what you need to do. You're hearing what we say here as well and how we feel about the situation. So, let's just hope, let's just hope it gets sorted. Yeah, I disagree. I mean, yeah, the owners are massively at fault for where we're going with things, but I don't blame the owners for the way that he decides to make decisions on the pitch, or the lack of problem solving, or the way he sets us up, or the lack of hunger, or some of the shit that he comes out in press conferences. Yeah, I don't hold the owners to that one. No. And the players need to hold some accountability in their own performances as well. Let's be serious, because individual mistakes that we continuously see each and every blooming week is on the players as well. So, it goes like that for me. I know we can't, honestly, we can sit here and throw everything on the owners because they're the top of the fucking food chain, and that's fair enough. I get that, but it's more than just the owners. It starts with the owners, though. You're right. It starts with the owners, but it goes round hard. But Conte get on with the new owners? I don't think so. This is my problem. He ain't, like, in terms of the project, where we want to go and what we want to try and do, he ain't the right manager for it. Did you see him at Spurs? Did you see him at Spurs? He wouldn't last longer than 2 seasons. He wants to win things, this guy. He don't want to be developing and have patience and try and get the best out of players. He wants to be able to just use his 3-4-3 formation and just have, and just fucking want to win things. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I think his mentality and all of this, and that would be good for the team. They need a rocket up their bums, a lot of them, in my opinion. I just don't think he's the right model of coach for what we're trying to do at the moment, which is fuck knows. Bringing young players, develop them, and then hopefully in 3-4 years we start winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues. He's about the now. He's about, okay, they're ready, they're competing, they're up there, like where Arsenal are right now. To where Arsenal were, to where Arsenal right now. He's the kind of guy you bring in for them. All right, I'll tell you can't do it. Conte's a winner. Let's get him in. Conte, we need to win. We're up there every year for the last 2-3 seasons. I need you to make it happen. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm not interested in Conte, and I don't really know where to go with it. I'll be quite honest with you. My problem with the manager situation is availabilities, and I don't actually know who I'd want. You know? Pochettino's mentality is a problem at this club. 100%. Arsenal, Liverpool fans dislike their owners, but they have competent directors of football in place. We need to get... This is a fact. This right here is a fact. And this is why I said to what Bobby said earlier, this is probably the better way of explaining it, what he's just done there. Because it's true what he's saying. You can have shit owners, but if you bring in a coach that's able to get the best of what he had, like what Tuchel did with us for that period, it does hide a lot of the crap. Because when you're winning, you're winning. When you're up there, you're up there. There's not a lot of that. You don't hear a lot. Do you hear Man United talking much about the owners? I mean, Man United is still out shit anyway, but do you hear Arsenal? Arsenal's a better example. You see Arsenal fans talking about the owners all of a sudden. I remember when it was Kroenke out every week. Kroenke out, Kroenke out, Kroenke out, Kroenke out, Kroenke out. Edu's in, Edu out, Edu out, Edu out. Arteta comes in. They get to where they are now. Don't hear Kroenke out. It's there, it died. This is true. This is a fact. This is a fact. Gary O'Neill should have paid 100 million for Kane. Do you reckon, Doggy? I don't know. You know, big up everyone in the chat. Big up Rich Moneymaker. There's only so much you can get out of kids. Yeah, to a degree, but they need to play and they need experience. This is why someone like Mudryk needs to play, you know. And Antonio Conte to Chelsea's just not the right one for me. Manager-wise, I don't even want to get into managers at the moment because he's still here. And we will probably do a lot of manager talks over the transfer window because if he doesn't get us in Europe, I think there's a good chance that we might get rid of him. Fabrizio Romano, I am aware that there have been claims about Conor Gallagher's salary demands, about problems for Chelsea and holding an agreement over a new contract. My understanding, however, is that it's not Gallagher asking for crazy money or anything unreasonable for this deal, is what I'm told. It's about Chelsea deciding what they want to do with Gallagher and also taking into account their financial fair play situation. But saying that Gallagher is asking for too high salary is not accurate as far as I understand. Gallagher wants to stay at Chelsea. That right there is a fact. He wants to be at the club. There's no way in hell that he wants to leave the football club. This is on the football club in terms of how much we can get for him and if we need to sell him. And if we need to sell him, will it suck? Yeah, because I actually think having him on the bench is good enough for me. I don't think he should be playing every game, still, in my opinion. But if you're going to get 60 million for him from Tottenham, who really want him, they're going to sell him. They're going to sell him. He's going to be gone. No more Gallagher. No more Gallagher. Would I be annoyed about it? The only reason I'd be a little bit annoyed about it is because now would we look at midfield again? Lavia can't stay fit. Enzo and Caicedo are only real midfielders. Carney's back. He's better further forward in the forward position. Hugo, Leslie, will he stay in or will he be loaned? Would we have to keep him at that point? Andre Santos is out on loan. We don't even use him. So, I don't know, man. Amrin would be my first choice if we sack Potter. Really? Interesting, Daniel. Well, that's to do a manager discussion for sure. Absolutely for sure. Guys, can you do me a favor, everyone? Can you smash the like button, guys, if you can? Just smash the like, share it out. trying to rebuild this show. We used to have 200 people in this live all the time. Where I haven't been on in a while, I need to try and rebuild it back up. So I appreciate you all that are here now with me. I really do. But yeah, thank you for that. And if you can share it and like it, it really helps me as well. So I appreciate it. What my contacts are telling me on the Chelsea board is that there are members concerned about the two main sporting directors, Stuart and wanting more potential youngsters. Well, that don't shock me. If that's even true, then that doesn't even shock me. Not gonna lie. It does only take a second. And that don't make that doesn't shock me as well. Yeah, but then you're forgetting the flip side of it. Pochettino is experienced. Pochettino is more experienced than Potter and Lampard. It's not like he's not a coach. They picked a manager that actually has experience this time. Let's not twist it. He might not have experience in winning, but he has experience in supposedly developing at his times in Southampton and Spurs, which he did, and he done very well at Spurs. But the issue with Pochettino, the real big issue with Pochettino, for me, is he still lives in the Tottenham days. His whole systems and styles of play haven't evolved. He's just stuck there still. And that's why when he went to PSG, he made Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi look toothless. He made them look toothless. Yeah, you could say it's a bad decision. I didn't want him. I wasn't too happy about signing him. But there was a lot of Chelsea fans that said, well, when you look at what was available, he's not a bad option compared to Vincent Kompany or someone else that's just less experience. We need him ASAP. I don't want De Zerbi at Chelsea because I have enough doing business with Brighton. I hear that as well, Daniel. Fully agree with you, Daniel. I don't want De Zerbi. I actually don't want De Zerbi as well. Chelsea perspective, how you doing, brother? Good to see you as well. Good to see you, my man. Thank you for coming through. Guys, keep tapping the screen, share it out. So with Conor Gallagher, go back to Conor Gallagher, guys. Conor Gallagher wants to be at Chelsea. He will stay at Chelsea. He will sign a contract. It's not about him staying at Chelsea. It's about Chelsea sending players that they can make value on to sustain the FFP rules. And if we can't sell whoever to make that happen, they're going to get, mark my words, they're going to sell these. They're going to sell him. They will sell him. It just depends who they sell and how quickly they can sell players. And we do have a bridging gap of June the 30th to try and sell the majority of it. You know? Just stick with Poch. They're only going to pick another yes man otherwise. Well, the problem is Chelsea by who's even available. Do you know what I mean? I know there's a long list. Jose Mourinho's available. Conte's available. There's a lot of experienced managers available. I just don't know when you look at where we are at the moment if and who's the right person. You know? Can't say Gary O'Neill ain't done well at the two clubs he's been chucked into. Yeah, but it goes back, John, to the whole Graham Potter scenario, doesn't it? You know, Graham Potter was done very well at Brighton, come to Chelsea, level up and couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. It's a different type of requirement for me. Can we get independent body to check our medical stuff? We need to do that because our medical team's shite. Several clubs throughout Europe have their own issues. Yeah, Louis not happy with them as well. Everyone's pulling to the fact that we need to get rid of these owners. And it leads into the next part, which we wanted to talk about, guys, an hour in, which is the FA Cup. We have got, we do have a game up against Man City. Shock. Man United get Coventry. Guess what? Chelsea get Man City at Wembley. Now, I want to ask you guys in the chat, how confident are you? How confident are you of getting to the final? How confident are you of getting to a final? Because if Chelsea get to this final as well, after losing a final, I'm going to say this. I'm going to go as far as to say this, all right? I think if we beat Man City at Wembley, we're going to win it. And I don't even have any confidence in this manager. I just feel like the law of averages tells me that we're going to win. That's it. How do no? Do you know what? And I said this. I actually prefer to play against Man City than I do against Liverpool. I don't know what it is about Liverpool, even though I don't think they're good, that good. Man City just seem to always be that team that will allow us more, give us more confidence to go and win. Like we will create chances against them, a lot more easier chances against them than Liverpool. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I do think they're weaker in the midfield. I don't think they know their best midfield with De Bruyne back in there. I don't think Haaland's playing well enough, and I think there's a chance that we have, if we turn up and play our game to the level that we need to play it at, we might nick one or two, and we can win it. There is a chance, but we're going to need Petrovic to have a good game again. He's going to have to stop them because they will have chances. They will. I just don't know. It's up in the air for me. Fans keeping getting toxic at Stamford. Do you think they're going to be a protest if there's never protests. I remember when there were the Ricketts were going to come into this football club and everyone was saying they were going to protest. I went, by the way. I went for my club and stood at the front with another 50 odd people. And everyone else was just walking past us, going into the ground, sitting there, didn't care that Ricketts were going to take over the club. I remember when we actually planned to do a protest and it didn't go to plan. We went and whatever we did must have been enough, I swear. It must have been enough. My phone's going crazy, guys. Sorry.
All right, everybody. Hello. Can you all hear me? Can you tell me on chat if you can hear me? Hopefully so. I hope so. Yes. Cool. Hi, everybody. My name is Liam. I work here at TikTok. Today I'll be hosting.
Sorry, guys. I've got 2 meetings going on at once here. I've got a fly attacking me as well. How are we all doing? Sorry, guys. Sorry. I've got another meeting going on here as well. City leaves space at the back. There's a win there. I know. I agree. Also. If fans keep getting toxic at the club, do you think there's going to be a protest? I don't think so. Nyack and Declare are going back and forwards. It's going to be interesting, right? It's going to be interesting to see what happens. We'll definitely do a match preview for that review. I haven't got the panel here today because everyone's tied up at work at the moment. But I thought I'd do a quick show for you guys just because it's international break, and I wanted to talk to you guys also before we finish off about the fixture list that we've got going on. Where are Chelsea at the moment? We are 11th, guys. Number 39. It seems like we've been holding up there for a while at number 11 as well. But one win takes us all the way up to potentially 8th, obviously, or 9th. Their goal difference is better than us at the moment. And then if we win again, depending on what goes on here, you could easily get. So can Chelsea get European football? That's the question here. Yes. Yes, still 10 games left. Well, actually, we've got a game in hand because of Arsenal. 11 games left. We have a chance, if we can put on a bit of consistent form in working our way up this league. We 100% do. 100% have a chance. Where was it? I thought I had it here. I don't know. Will it happen? Potentially. Trust the process. Protest. We have hired excellent set of peace coach for next season to help our defence. Yeah, I've heard that. You know, there's a good chance that if our 6 points, 42, 45, we could be near West Ham. If West Ham go on a bit of a rut, depending on what Brighton do as well, we were in the mix all the way up to Man United for me, with the game in hand as well. West Ham have played a game ahead of everyone. They're on 29. So we've got 2 games in hand on them, by the way. So if we win our next 2 games, 40, we'll be above them. They're 7th. We'll be on 45 points. We'd be ahead of West Ham by 1 point. Obviously, Brighton have a game in hand on them. So they could be on fight on that as well. But we're in with our game in hands against the others, the 2 games in hands we got on West Ham, we have a good chance of actually being 7th with a couple of games left, which is very weird. This is what I'm saying. So that's interesting. But are Chelsea going to take their chances? Are they going to be able to show some consistency? Are they going to be able to work their way up the table? That's the question. We found ourselves stuck in and around it most of the period as well. And I want to look at, like, obviously the games we've got coming up. When you look at the games that we have coming up and this fixtures all the way down to Nottingham Forest. This is Nottingham Forest, which is our last game, isn't it? Or no, Bournemouth's our last game. The way to Bournemouth. They're still Burnley at home, which I think we can win. Manchester United at home, which in recent history. So here I think we win this. I think we win 2-0. This will be the first game that we win. This will give us the push into, hopefully people around drop and pushes us away from this 10th, 11th drama that we've been in most of the season. Okay. Then we have Man United. Now, the chances of us beating Man United are very in between. Again, we're 48 to their 28 with a draw probability being a lot higher because in previous times we've drawn. But Man United are 6th. If they lose to us and we manage to, and we're on 42 points going into that game, that would bring us to 45 points with a game in hand behind Man United. Now, I know I'm talking very positive and we've not shown any of that this season. But what I'm trying to show you is that there is still that slight chance that if we can put on a bit of form here, we have a chance of catching them. Once we beat Man United, once we hopefully beat Man United, we then have Sheffield United, Everton and Brighton. Now, these 3 games, Brighton's postponed. Sheffield United and Everton. So in 4 Premier League games when we come back, I expect us to win 3 of them, which is probably not going to happen because it's Chelsea. But 3 of them. And if we even draw that again, that's 10 points. What would 10 points give us right now? Their biggest problem is consistency. But it's still in our hands. This is what I don't get. It's not like we can't do it. It's still well in our hands, you know? And that's the thing. Like 10 points now would put us on 49, would be 6th. Would be 6th. Would be in Europa League football. But then the big test, the big challenges then come. The big challenges then come because, you know, once we play them games, we go to a semi-final against Man City to put us in the final of the FA Cup, which is going to be demanding on the 20th of April. And then we have a week break, which is good. We have a week break from there. Aston Villa away. They're not in the greatest of form. We've done them over there, 4-0 already. They're going to want to get a bit of revenge. That's going to be hard. And then we've got West Ham. We've got West Ham, Forest, and Bournemouth. But in between all of this, we've got Arsenal. Now, I don't think Arsenal's been announced yet, is it? Arsenal are going to fit in between, which is our game in hand in one of these periods. But when you look at our run of Sheffield United, Everton, Brighton, Villa, West Ham, Forest, Bournemouth, what we should be winning, sorry, we'll go up, forgot about Burnley. What we should be winning is Burnley, Sheffield United, Everton at home. Brighton away, maybe that could be a bit hard. West Ham at home, I think we should win. Forest, Bournemouth, 3, 12, 15, 18 points out of our remaining games we should be getting, in my opinion. 18 points. So there's still a lot to play for. Yes, the beautiful game. How are you, brother? Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Guys, keep tapping the screens and sharing out as well. So there's a huge chance that we, as a club, with the fixture list that we've got left, and hoping with a little bit of good form and luck for once, find ourselves in a European position. Now, let me ask you this, and this is a big if again. If Chelsea finish 6th or 7th, let's just say, 5th, 6th or 7th, and we manage to get to the semi-finals of the FA Cup and win after losing to Liverpool, how would you feel? How would you feel as a Chelsea fan with an FA Cup and European football? How would you guys feel about that? I want to know what your thoughts would feel like.
Do you like to join our loyalty program? And I'm like, right, what's the loyalty program?
So, guys, I had a message coming. So, yeah, I want to know what your answers are. That would be a success, Gem. So, declared saying it would be a success, one that brings money in as well. Okay. What is everyone else saying? We have to get back into Champions League next season. That has to be gold. Okay, but what's everyone's thoughts on that? I'd still think Poch needs to leave, but Europa League, W, some money issues. I agree. I don't think he will leave if he gets European football and wins an FA Cup. I think they'll look at it as progress. Yes, we had a bad most of the season, but at the end we won an FA Cup and we got Europa League football. That was one of his targets. He's given it to us. We'll give him another season. I can see that happening. Yeah. Europa League with an average team with lack of experience. That team should be in the top 6 for me, personally. Top 7. Still. I don't think we're getting any higher than 8th. No, okay. That's possible, by the way, because we've stayed 11th and 10th for most of the season. But that means, Chelsea boy, that we're going to be very inconsistent again, and we're going to win and lose and win and lose and win. Let me tell you something now. If we beat Everton but draw against Sheffield United, then lose to Aston Villa, but then beat Man United, and then beat Arsenal, but then lose to... He's got to go. Because if I see myself at 10, 9th still all the way through to the end because of that, and we don't win an FA Cup, we get knocked out by Man City, then I'm done. But overall, it's like a slapping lipstick on a pig. We top 4. Well, it depends though, doesn't it? We say top 4, but it depends on what we do in the window for me, you know? Depends on what we do in the window. If I'm honest, I don't fancy our chances. No, I don't blame you. I don't blame any Chelsea fan for feeling how they feel. There's no right or wrong answer in this situation. Trust me. There is no right or wrong answer in this situation. I don't know. The condition would be Poch goes regardless because the Europa or higher would just provide him with a bigger trophy to bottle. I don't get how we lost. I was at Wembley for that Liverpool game. I was there, and the amount of anger and like how infuriated I was that we didn't take that game was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I was pissed. I was so pissed off. I'm not gonna lie. And it did bring that Spursy Poch feel. You know, his decision making at the end, his excuses at the end of that game about, oh, I took him off because Gallagher eventually got tired and he couldn't run anymore, and I decided that we should just play for penalties in the 90, in the extra time, even though we absolutely battered them in the second half and we're actually creating chance after chance, which we should have scored. I decided that we should just bottle it and just defend, which is what he basically said. Let's be serious. Yeah, that's a problem for me. If we go out to City, would you sack Pochettino? I think it's all going to fall to Europe with Pochettino. I think the target of the board before they make a decision is, will he get us into Europe? Because they're going to look at the board now and go, as shit as we've been, we can still get European football here. That means our targets haven't changed with you. That means we can't make a decision until we see where we are at the end of the season. And that's why I think it's so important. I think they're waiting. You know? I really do. I don't think we ever get there. Still no chance I'm going to be. Yeah. We have to try and be positive. Poch has been sacked, win or lose to City. I agree. I don't want him here. He's not the right man. We are not going to the future land with this guy. I don't know if people get confidence in him. He's just a legend silverware. He don't bring any confidence. The mentality of the players. So the players follow the mentality of the manager. And when we played Liverpool at the final of the Carabao, and they didn't have all the kids out. They had a couple of kids out, and then they brought the kids on later, and they still played to a structure and system. They all understood their roles. They all, stuck in and stick to it and got through it. That was all because of the rub off that the manager brings. All right, Van Dijk scores the header, but the experience, the way the manager rubs off against you. But when you have a manager that goes, go, and we're doing what we're doing, and we're like trying to create, and we're nearly there, we just hit the bar, post, whatever, and then he goes, right, guys, come in. Let's defend penalties. Forget that we dominated that last period. Let's be safe. I'm going to take Gallagher off and Sterling off, and he ended up taking all our attackers off, didn't he? Put a couple of midfielders on. We'll throw someone in the defence, make it a bit solid. Yeah. And then we just get penalties, guys, and we'll win. What chance have you got? That is a bottler's mentality, especially when you were playing them off pretty much in the second half, creating chance after chance. And then he comes out and admits it after. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather have Poch than Thomas the Frank, who they want. Thomas Frank. I'd rather have Poch than Thomas Frank. Oh, him. Jesus. Who the fuck wants him? I was trying to think who Thomas Frank was. Who wants him? That's just going back in the wrong direction again. I don't know, guys. I don't know. There's going to be a lot more shows for you guys. There's lots more to discuss. Owners, managers, squad, match reactions, match previews. We are going to be doing all of it with the panel, getting back into this routine. We've had over 30 people here, which is a low number for us, but still, it's a start. And I'm glad that we still have a good 30, 40 people in this live. It's good. It's really good, and I appreciate that. Thank you. But I will be back for the game coming up. Not this week, next week. We'll do another show. I'm off for the weekend. I'll be back on next week as well for you guys. And we'll start pushing out these shows. We'll be watching the games. We'll be watching the scores. We'll be discussing and analysing everything as we always do. It was good, guys. It was good. We've done an hour and a half nearly as well. It's been a very good discussion show. I appreciate you all being here. We're going to try and stick to this time as well, guys. 1 o'clock. What we are doing as well, just to give you a heads up, every game that I'm going to try and do a match reaction. I'm going to try and do a reaction straight after the game as well for use as well. It's one of my other things I'm going to try and fit in as well. Yeah, evening streams. Yeah, we will be. If it's Chelsea playing in the evening, we'll get back to some evening streams. But evening's very quiet for us, Usually it's even worse. Right now, we've got nearly 40 people here in the day. So, yeah, definitely. I want an elite or an ex-elite managers. I'm done with these mid-managers. Yeah, go and find me one, Nyack. Go and find me one for the next show, and we'll talk about it. All right, guys, big love to every single one of you as always. Thank you for all being here. What a great show. It was good to go through some bits and bobs today. Nothing in particular, but just the overall Chelsea as well. It's been a great show, guys. I will see you next week for another show with the panel as we continue moving forward and going through this season and discussing the crap that we're watching. See you later, guys. Big love. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you later.